for today we have a very interesting topic. And it would be great if one of you could just make some recording. It is not necessary to share it live, but just some graphic recording of the main content we can share afterwards, because I think it will be a lot of numbers and things, so not as it's easy to remember, because it could be become complex, because I assume everyone has a different way of handling things when it comes to contracts, how to talk to customers, and also so we have a quite variety. So
today's subject is pricing and contracts, and Marko prepared few questions that we can help organize our discussion. So maybe the first one: who uses formal contracts when working with customers? That would be nice to know and to hear. So please raise your hand and share if you use formal contracts. And so what do we understand by formal contract? Maybe it would be good to know.
Yeah, so the question is, really, if you have something prepared, so you send it out, for example, there's just a graphic recording and you have it very well prepared and it goes to the customer and everything is defined, so no surprises. Who has kind of that available or use it on a regular basis?
I have used it. Maybe two or three times.
Yeah.
I think at the end, I mean, everything went fine, but I don't think it was the best tool, because it's kind of the antithesis of what we do. It just makes it all so complicated with lots of clauses and topics. So more recently, I've made kind of a guide. It's in Portuguese.
Yeah.
It's kind of a one-page guide. It has a better typography and stuff, but not really a lot of images, which I think is a missed opportunity on my side. Yeah. But I've made it, and I was inspired by the folks. I don't know how to pronounce it. Scriberia.
Yeah.
I don't know the London ones. And they had these terms available on their website, which was just like a bunch of text, but it made sense to me because it was very nonsense. Like what kind of conditions we need, what kind of facilities, what kind of information we need, what sort of approvals we have. So the one I've made for myself, let me see if I find it. It's basically like things that an event organizer can be focused on to make sure that he gets the most benefit out of hiring a facilitator or visual recording. I'll just look if I find it. But basically, I organized it in before the event, during the event, and after the event. So what kind of things they can set up to be ready, like mailing list with the results that they can send to people and stuff like this.
So do I understand it right that now you turn more into something that is a bunch of advices to the client, how to make the cooperation with you better and how to make more out of it from the client's perspective?
Yes. And I don't know how it is with you guys. I think there's people from all around the world here, and I'm sure like the corporate cultures are also different. But here in Brazil, I mean, of course, contracts are enforced; they can work, but people will get very antsy when they get the contract. Like, especially if you're working with a big organization, they just shoot it up to the legal department, which is not the department that should really care about these things.
Yeah.
At least from a practical point of view.
Okay.
And payments, it's fine and everything, but the legal department won't have anything to say about like, I need a table or I need some lighting, stuff like this.
So maybe I can also share my experience in that way. So I had a similar feeling when you come with a specific contract. Then it goes to legal department and it's big and it costs a lot of time. But what I've found out, what is very helpful, just to mix the offer or the quote with some kind of contractual clauses, having that defined, because then it's not going to the legal department. The contract is always, we are at risk. So especially with corporates, and having just something defined, which is also a contract by law, but it's not called contract in the quote, what they sign, and then it's also legal binding, and that helps a lot. So just an addendum to the quote, basically. For example, maybe, and I just give my thoughts, what I include, and what is very important is, for example, when it's more than one day, how to, the hotel, if you have a night before, night after, these kind of things, if they pay for meals, which I find very important, especially when it's a more expensive city. Having something defined like that, and also material. So at the beginning, I didn't think about material properly, and it's all this Neuland markers or whatever you use, and they disappear after workshop. So it's really no chance holding them, and so I arrange with them so they just buy them. It's not expensive for them. But at the end, it sums up and for me, and then say, okay, you get it, it's good stuff, you can work with it, and they love it, and they have it, and I don't have to care for it. So it's really great having that included, and they pay for it. And it's often just the price of the workshop that counts, and the rest is okay. So that's my experience. Maybe you have a different one, so I'm very curious to hear.
In Poland, some law circumstances has changed, and now when you have something written in your email, it may be a part of your contract, so you don't have to it's as has the same importance as the formal contract. Not so many people know about it, but it has changed. And anyway, in my case, I very often use I send email which has a lot of points that are important for me, and it does show how I would like to work and what's important, what is crucial. And I observed that many of my clients, they like also to receive it by email, not by as an attachment, but in email, because it's faster for them, So sometimes, of course, I send attachment presenting my work and so on, but very often it's just faster for people who have, a lot of other stuff to do, just to copy it from email, send it somewhere else, don't play with PDFs and this kind of stuff. So this is something that I'm using.
Ideas and best practice you do when you use contracts.
Yeah, I mean, what I do is I usually, hi everybody. I do a lot of the back and forth and kind of negotiating by email, and then I summarize it in a proposal that basically has the cost and has stated how expenses are handled. Also, what I find super important, I charge 50% upfront for booking the date.
Very good.
Because like that you will see then all the things come out with, are you in our vendor system? Sometimes it takes ages to get kind of to that process. And you also you also have the money to kind of buy any supplies or anything, and you see that people are serious. So I do that every time now, and for workshops as well. When I do workshops with clients, it's like 50% before and 50% after, and usually that doesn't pose any problem. What I include as well is what is super important is to talk about rights.
Oh yes, that's a
Talk
good
about
point.
rights for the work, knowing what the purpose is, what they want to do with it, and yeah, just making it clear that everybody's on the same page. And that's different for different clients, obviously. I mean, for a lot of the stuff, if it's very specific to the meeting, I mean, they have the full rights. They're not gonna, I mean, it's not gonna be that they're gonna take individual illustrations and make t-shirts of it and kind of international things like that, because it's very specific content. But for some more general topics, I think it's important to bring it up, because if they want to use it in marketing material or in further presentations, or maybe publish a book or something that uses some of these illustrations, I think it's worth bringing that up.
And that's a good point. I think we bring in the usage rights as a next question. There was just Philip, I think it was Filippo, you raised hands.
Hi.
Yes, hi. I raised my hand, but it's a little bit loud right here because I'm in a camping place and there is a cleaning machine going just behind us. So I don't know. Can you hear me well, or is it too loud?
It's okay.
It's good, yeah.
It's okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's going further away, so it should be. No, I'm very new to it, so I'm very interested in contracts and because so far I've been trying to DIY a little bit, and I don't have a formal contract, but I do have an offer. I think it could be interesting to share that in the offer, just as said from others, I do add some conditions always. In order for me to be able to do the work, some condition which could be like the meals are provided, or that if it's used for commercial use, that they need to speak with me, that they would have the right for the picture, but that also that I would receive all the information I had, all the necessary information I had in order to be able to perform at the highest quality. But and then I do say in the emails that if they accept the offer, I find it binding for me. I don't know. I cannot say legally binding because I'm not sure how it is legally. But if I say it's binding, then again, the person that usually has the email exchange with me can either confirm it or ask some person responsible to confirm it, and I take it as binding. And from the side of the client, it also doesn't need to go to the legal department or anything, or be cleared with the legal department before answering me, because they consider it binding. If it's legally binding or not, I do not know. But I think conditions in the adding condition in the offer, it's surely something that could potentially be interesting if there is no formal contract.
Yeah. So basically, so you don't let them sign, is it right? It's just they confirm by email, okay, you're booked.
Yeah, this is how I understood it too.
Okay. And that's maybe who does it? Maybe one or the other one does it the same way. Just from my experience, what I saw many times when it's not signed, and I had also no cancellation fee at the beginning, and in the corporate environment can be difficult from time to time, and now I included some cancellation fees, so they have to pay some kind of, if it's less than 30 days, then they pay 50%, and then it goes up, and it's much better. But to really have something in a hand, I need some kind of signature, just signed and sent back via email, so scanned and they do it, and it's easy. But what is your experience there? So as a group, how you do it? You wait for a real signature, or you just take it confirmed if it's by email.
Waiting.
You can also use the chat if it's faster. Just type in email. If you just accept email or phone, if it's the phone, or if you say I need a signature, type in signature into the chat. I think that would be very interesting, just to see also how you handle it. It might be different from country to country, and okay. So Eva saying signature. So I don't get the full.
So I see that email is fine. Is fine with a lot of person said email is fine. It brought me to cancellation question because you raised that topic, Marko.
Yeah.
Because I understand from you what you said that cancellation is possible when you have a contract, right? Because then it's more, you know, more obvious for the client that they should pay you the cancellation fee.
Yeah, and it helps. It's often so at least with the big corporates, they have year end and they want to save some money just before year end, and they look what they can cancel just to get costs down. And if there is no cancellation fee, then it's very easy. And maybe the one just hired you, he is in a situation he loves to work with you, but that comes from top down in the corporates, and they say, okay, just cancel it. But when they raise, okay, but then we have to pay a cancellation fee, then they say, okay, then do it. It's not worth. So it's really the case in many corporates. So it's also protection for your customer to have this cancellation fee in, because then they can go for it. So it helps a big deal to have that. And
what about you guys? Do you use the cancellation fee format? Do you work this way with your clients? What are your experiences about this? Personally, I don't, so I'm really curious.
Yeah.
I'm curious as well. How much do you schedule as a cancellation fee, Marko, usually? Because I have had a cancellation recently. It was there was no issue. I mean, I know very well the customer, but the event got cancelled. And, so I'm very interested.
If it's less
how
than
much?
30, yeah, if it's less than 30 days, it's 50%. And if it's just 2 weeks before, then it's 80%.
But okay, because that leads us to another thing, because you said less than 30 days. Now I'm thinking how many of my customers order this graphic recording or visual facilitation. You know, what I want to say is that customers very often don't plan for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, okay, next month we've got something. Okay, in 2 weeks we've got something. This is the situation that very often is in Poland. So you said about cancellation less than 30 days, which means that your clients plan ahead this stuff. So it's a big difference, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's shorthand, then it's different. And it's also, if you have no contract, then you have no chance to have that. And it's also always to say, do I really go for the cancellation fee, or say, okay, let's move it to another time, and it's also okay. But it's a personal decision then there. I just checked the chat. Checked the chat from Silvias. I don't just make a note about the client in my blacklist. That's also interesting, having a blacklist. And so maybe, which is also interesting. Do you ever had a client not paying, and you have blacklist, so not paying at all. So.
Gilvinas, I understand that it's about the client that has cancelled, not you know, yes, and then next, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Very.
But that's a great point. I mean, this chaotic world we keep reading about, I feel that some of us live more immersed in it. And I had the same question as Dorota, because I mean, very often people don't have a clear idea of what they need, because also the field is not as developed around here. There's some people doing it, but it's not the most common thing. And so they don't know what they need. We take a long time.
I don't do a really formal contract, but I always send to my customer a PowerPoint presentation in which I try to summarize. I can show you one maybe if you want, but I summarize their needs. Then I try to state what I will do, what I propose as an actions, and then I list all I don't know the word in English, you know, the things you deliver, the content, the topics, the pictures, either on paper or digitally, and I state also what they will use it for, and then I say what I include in the price, what does the price covers and what is not covered. And if there is some hotel and so on to be booked and so on, I state it in the document. I can show you one if you want. It's not,
sure, it would be cool.
It's not confidential, but it's in French. So just let me find how to share my screen.
I think we graphic recorders, we understand it from layout itself.
Yeah, from layout, but it's you know, before that I was a project customer, project manager. So it's more the computer science engineer that is talking in this document. So first page is with the title of the business and decision. It's the customer. Some of visual is visual recording, is what I will do. I have different offers. And then the events, the name of the event, date. And so what is your needs, what you will do, what is the context of the event, or of the needs. And then what I will do precisely, what the customer has to bring. Here it's for a digital, it's a digital work, so I state that it's the date, the place, what I will do, what we will do before to prepare the events, and on the D-Day, I need a HDMI connection and a workspace of the size and some water, because sometimes it's a difficulty. Then I list the price. So it's a customer for which I always state my normal price. When it's near when it's in my city, I do a gift to the customer. It's a standard gift for working in Nantes. And then for this customer, we have a partnership. So I always had another gift, sorry, and then the final price. I always remember my recent customers for them to be pushed to buy more work, and my contact information, because often this document will go to the financial teams and they don't have my contact information. And I always send this document before the event to the customer, and I will always check before the event that it's okay with them by email. And it's like in Poland, I think the email has a legal weight. In France, if the customer says yes by email,
Yeah.
he is committed to agree. I think it's less than a contract, but it's still a big commitment. So it is what I do and how I do it. It's not very formal, but the customer has all the information he needs to have.
And it's very clear, you know, and it's short form from my point of view, and very clear what you offer. So thank you for sharing so openly with us. It's really cool.
I'm using an avatar and those bubbles to add comments if I need to give some off-topic message to the customer, like I think this is better for you to do that, or just that kind of things. And so I do.
And it works, I guess.
Yeah, it's working correctly. Yes. Most of the time. Sometimes it's not that clear for the customer because he has some kind of ideas that he has not shared with me. But
that's going back to the topic which I paused before. If Alota brought it up about usage rights, how you handle it. So I saw different in the internet, in graphic recording group. I see people, they share their also customer things where they have always their name on it. I also know from others, and also from my customers, they don't want to have any name on it, any company signature, because they want to just share it and it should be clean. So how you handle this kind of rights? Do they have to name you as the owner? Do you give them full rights to do it, to put it on any marketing stuff? So how you handle it?
It's quite, I'm from Poland, so I think I can say generally how it is in Poland, because what I observe from my own work and my colleagues is that we are, there are signatures, so we sign our work, and this work is shared by the customer, by the clients. I think most of the times it's you know, with the name of the graphic recorder or the company that did it. So, and I think it's a generally this is something that is important for me, because it is you know, my clients, they very often they say that you are a part of this. Without you, it wouldn't be possible. So we don't have any problem with that, because but maybe it is because in Poland it is not so popular yet, so clients see it as a kind of artwork. Even if it's not, they very often treat it that way. So
but just on the other page, side of the range, so I know Simone is also in there. She is an illustrator, so I wonder if it's a bit away from having graphic recordings, but more illustrative work. So customers use it in magazines or whatever they do with that. Do they accept signatures or company names on it? So from you, or how is it handled if it's more illustrative stuff?
Question for me, yeah.
I really wonder.
Normally they accept to have their logo on the graphic recording, but I don't give them the right to use the visuals for marketing stuff.
Okay.
They have to buy them.
Okay.
So it's an extra work.
Oh, can you share, or would you like to share the how you handle pricing if they buy it?
There are rules for designers in Germany, and there are certain fees. And these fees depend on the for which media they want to use the illustrations.
Okay. And
how many publications, for example, or I don't know. There's several. I don't know how to call it. I can take the book. Wait a bit. I can take the book.
Yeah, that would be, I think, very helpful also to see, because I think there are many things in other areas, in a graphic area, and they do things very properly, and just check if we can reuse things that are out there also very properly contractual framed.
So these fees depends on if the illustrations or visuals are used only by the customers, or if I can use these MEM visuals also to other customers. So if the rights are exclusive or for everybody. Also, if the visuals can be used where they're used, in Europe, in your region only, or international, and how many times? Is it for 1 year? Is it for 2 years? Or for 10 years? And how many publications there will be with your visuals? If there's a book printed, how many books are printed? Or if it's for a website, how many visitors are there for the website, for example. So these are all factors that modify the amount of the fee.
But does it concern the graphic recording or illustration?
It's just if the client wants to buy the illustrations for marketing or for other publication.
Yeah. Because I have it, for example, often that I do a graphic recording and I see the pictures and I want to use it for marketing then. Because when you sit together and you discuss things and facilitate, the great ideas appear and you say, oh, that would be cool in our next sales presentation also. And then very soon I'm in a situation that they start cropping things with Photoshop.
They don't have the right. They really don't have the right to do that.
And the question,
you have to look after that.
And the question is, and that's really from my side, but a very personal thing, what to do with that. So I can ask a lawyer and start against whatever company, Siemens, or so for me, it's a really difficult question, even if I have it contractually defined how to handle those things. I have no solution for that. So that's why I'm eager to hear how maybe you would do it as a group if you have this kind of things. Because I have, it's always the question, the right you have and how you enforce your own right in that case.
You have to fix this. I fix this. I fix it as well in my offer. I say it very clearly in my offer which right the customer has to for what he can use my images.
Okay.
And if he wants to use them for other stuff, he has to ask me another offer. Okay. I have to make another offer for that. And it's another service.
Okay. And so we are again in this contract thing. So my contract has some holes there or some gaps. I see.
I think it's important to make a contract. I don't make them sign. It's just email, but I have even if it's just for myself, I need a contract and the information to be very clear about what are the conditions, what are the what does the client really want from me, what can I really give him or her.
So it really works. Now I see the contract stuff that it works the same way as if we are doing, for example, a training. And at the very beginning of training, workshop, we contract with people. what are the golden rules of our group work? And then if somebody is breaking those rules, we can refer to what we said. So it's our, you know, our weapon, let's say, or a tool to fight with something that is inappropriate. So probably I can imagine, Marko, that you are doing like visual facilitation. Some nice icon was drawn, and people are, you know, very in very energetic way. They are, you know, like, okay, let's use it. It's so cool. It would be so cool for another project.
Yeah,
so
right, like that.
From one hand, it's so bad to say, oh, stop. There are legal. There is legal stuff we need to discuss, because then you can kill the, let's say, the spirit of the group work. But probably you can refer afterwards to the contract or to the rules that you have in your agreement, and discuss it with one person who's responsible for that. So just not to discuss it with the group, but the person that is responsible afterwards.
Absolutely. I think it absolutely makes sense, like Simone mentioned, to have it somehow in the formal contract or agreement. And so it was just interesting to hear how you handle it.
And you can have a template. If you make an offer or contract, if you make many offers, you can have a template. You can make a template for it, and so you don't have to redo another offer. So it's you just have to begin.
And so I think time is going by very quickly. I have another point which is quite important, and we had many discussions in the different groups on that topic, and it's all about working for free. Is it okay to do so? In your opinion, just type in yes, and if yes, under which conditions. So I think it's very interesting, because very often we get those calls. I think there is some kind of association asking, oh, we have this thing and we talk about new work or about that, and it would be great, we heard about graphic recording, but we have no budget, whatever. And how to handle that. So I'm just eager to hear your experience, and we share ours. So it's just type it in, so then we have a good list, because so Olivier say no, not for free. Brown bag lunch for free comes from Mark, so he has 1 hour of explanation, and which is interesting. I think it's then marketing, but it comes from you, Mark, right? So it's not that they ask you for doing that, so you offer it.
I offer to explain what are visual practices, and I give them a few icons easy to draw, to see if they want to include it in their notes taking. So it's a way to, most of the time the customers don't know what are visual practices, what they cover. They just know visual recording, maybe. They call it visual facilitation, and they don't have the good vocabulary. So I go for free in companies on lunchtime when I'm available, and I explain during 1 hour what are visual practices. I show my work, which brings often some business, and I try to give them a few hints on how to start. And if they want some training, whatever, I can give them some contact information for good training, and so that kind of thing.
Okay, so it's and we have quite a mixture here. Sometimes, if I love the organization, if it's an NGO, so different areas. Dorota, how you handle it?
Well, because I worked for NGOs for many years. I'm a NGO person, so sometimes I do work for free for NGOs, but it's in very unique cases.
Yeah.
One thing, when I believe that it's worth it, the case is important for me personally, and I know the NGO and the stuff they are doing, and I agree with that. And it's also, for me, it's also important that I'm not the only one volunteer on the floor. You know what I mean? Because sometimes even NGOs do great events and they can afford to pay people. And then I don't want to be the only one volunteer on the floor because it doesn't make sense. But when I'm surrounded by volunteers, really cool, and then I believe that I can add a great value to something that I really believe in. So this is how I see it. I got also one story with NGO that they wanted to pay me, but they couldn't afford. And I knew that they are doing something that is really very important. So I just offered, I said, you know, guys, I don't want to work for such a small amount, because it's just, you know, this is something that is like, I'm doing something bad for other graphic recorders, right?
Yeah,
then they can say, oh, she worked for that small money. So I said, no, I will do it for free, but I would like to do some kind of business exchange that you will, you know, offer my services to other NGOs that you are partnered with. So it was more business attitude, I would say.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
But only with NGOs, not with the business. Working for free for business is not a good business. I think.
I made a marketing thing out of that. It was also NGO, had not enough money to pay, just a bit, and I told them, okay, just buy me a bottle of champagne, and so then it was okay. So what did you get? He works for champagne, which is then so 125 euro. In euro, it does not look good, but it was for champagne. It sounds nice. And I
think champagne is a good deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many times do you pay on champagne? Come
on. Buy it because it's too expensive, but getting a nice champagne and good chocolate. And so that's, for me, it's always a give and take. And sometimes they come and say, okay, but you get the stage. And at the very beginning, when I started with the whole thing, I did it for the stage, and it was a mess for me, because at the end they didn't understood it, and they thought, it's just there. So it was not valued. So it was really bad, and that's why when I do it really for free, if it's for an NGO, I really have also contact and say what they do with that. So then they have it social media. So it's a good project, shared and allowed. And give me also a time on stage, because that's so important to explain it. And that's a big value when you have the big conferences and you do something for minor budget, and then you have the time to present your work, and then they understand it. Otherwise, it's sometimes not valued. So that worked for me. So especially for a nice project, but for customers, so for corporates, never for free.
But I found very interesting the idea that Mark presented this lunch meetings, because Marko, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see it as working for free. I see it as investing in your business. It's like, you know, business meetings, but in a very specific
There's two reasons for me. It's very important for the people to know, in my opinion, it's important to share the knowledge. You know, I have learned so much from the community, so I try to give back. So it's a value, but as an example, I will not do it in June. Some people call me to schedule it in June, and I told them, no, in June I'm too busy, I just can't. I will not do it for free, but I can sell you a seminar if you want. But it's a way to give back, and it's also a way to teach people what it is, what it can do, what values it can bring to their company, and if they like the added value and what I have shown them. Often they will think, oh, Mark can be a good provider for that. So it's marketing. It's also teaching, I think.
Teaching your clients how to work with you in the future, right?
Yeah, or customer to be, hopefully. It's also a way to put a step in an organization or in companies. So it's, I think it's good. It's good habits.
That sounds really, really good. And also what I saw in the chat from Bia. So she really make it very clear what are her promoting objectives. So a list so she gives them a list what they should provide, her photos, her website, and this thing. So I think that's also a good thing to have it clearly defined. Yeah, cool. And then now we have 6 minutes left, and I have one big question. So which is almost there. So you find it also often in the groups, in the different groups. And what is a minimum rate? So a day rate we should have when we go out to the customers. And I know it's different from country to country. But I heard from Brandy Agerbeck in the US, for her, everything under €1,000 a day is not enough for the US. But I just wonder, what do you think? So just, you can also type it in or type it into chat. And I know it's different in Poland, Ukraine, it's different from Germany, from France, because the standard so prices are different, but it would be just interesting to get a feeling if there is a minimum. So would say not €50, for example, or whatever. So just type in what you think should be the minimum, not for NGO, but really for business. Let's say some corporate that has no economic problems. It's really and ask you to do graphic recording or facilitation work one day.
I need a calculator.
And we see some range. So in Lithuania, it's 200 an hour or €500 a day. And it's also interesting to see when some customers really trick. So I had a graphic facilitation at Porsche, and it was this, you couldn't think how they handle it. So they told me, also we start at 1 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the evening, and it's just a half a day, for them, which was basically 7 hours. And so they really also start late and make it long often, and then so it's difficult also with half or whole day. And I know people, they say, okay, I have to come, even it's only 1 hour, I have to travel 1 hour, travel back, so 1 day gone. So it's an interesting thing. So just to have a feeling here. And also from Martine, it's interesting, she says, so half a day is 75% from a day rate, which is also, I think, a good thing, because it covers a bit that what I mentioned before. Even if you're half a day, you're busy all day long. I know that's, or no half days, or all this, it's the same price.
And 1 hour is the same as a half day. Yeah, Martin wrote. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Gervinus, your famous blacklist is really famous right now.
Yeah, so it's, I think, and that's quite interesting. And also, so just to bring that up, what happens afterwards? So sometimes people ask, can you do that and optimize a bit and put things together, especially if you do facilitation work. So you have to do something afterwards to prepare it. Do you charge it extra, or is it included in your whole package? I think that's also things we can discuss, but I think we need another meeting for that, because there's so much things to do, and just a starting. And we are small.
So I would like to share just one thing about money, because what happened really often is new customer, new client is calling and insists to hear the how much it's gonna cost on the first call, you know, during the first phone call.
Yeah.
And my golden rule is not to go that way, because, you know, I always say I need a few minutes to think. Give me like 15 minutes and I will go back to you. But first I need to ask a few questions, understand what is the, you know, the idea. And then I'm able to come back with pricing, because and it really happens so often that I made it a golden rule, just not to be too quick with, you know, with money money conversation, because it's not good.
Yeah.
We should have some time to think, to figure it out how to count it. Yeah.
And that's also, I think, a very good advice, because often you have this purchasing department coming. So I had often for the corporates, and they call just people on their list, or they search on internet, and they have no idea about the value. They just compare what they understand, and that's money. And they call, okay, 800 euros, 750, 1,500, out, and then one is 500, and they take.
And then it is a lost chance, because if you have a chance to send a proposal showing how you work, what you do, with what kind of client you worked before, then you show your value.
Yeah.
If you just, you know, quickly say your price via telephone, then it's a lost chance, I think.
And I think it's also a nice thing, Dorota, what you mentioned, if you ask questions, because this purchasing department often cannot answer it. So, oh, I have no idea about the event. I direct you to whatever, to the department XYZ, and they do it. And then you have a good contact, and not the purchasing department anymore.
Yes.
And which is valuable. Then you can sell what you do better than all the others on the list for 400 euro or 100 euro. Or so. Especially in Germany, there are many people offering solutions, and it's hard to distinguish, and everyone is somehow unique. And
so the people can recognize that you are professional, but the type of questions that you ask, not by your answers, but by your questions, is what really works for me.
Yeah. And if you do more than just offering it, because often they have an event, and they just they look for someone who helps them to make the event even better, and going in the dialogue, then you're more in the conversation that brings value to them already, and then you are on a preferred list. And so it's I think a good thing here, asking question and go around the purchasing department, which just comparing prices, and somehow have a dialogue. Very nice. Any open questions from your side? Things you want to consider what we should cover next time, or maybe we can just ask people here, just use the chat or just talk. What is in your mind? Because I think we have here the power of 18 people from different countries, different experiences, and it's very valuable to have you here and use it. Whatever in your mind, I think we can share here very easily.
I feel that often we, at least from my understanding, a lot of graphic recorders and visual facilitators present themselves in a more kind of general way, like we work with this. Mm-hmm. And in my eternal quest to raise my fees, I've been getting into, you know, positioning and negotiation and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I've been wondering, at least for myself, if it would make sense to specialize, let's say, in healthcare or technology or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if somebody took that step, like choosing one focus area to say, like, I could facilitate things on all sorts of topics. Yeah. But if you ask me to facilitate like a blockchain, I'll be really good at it. I don't know.
Interesting question. So is there anyone specialized when doing graphic recording or facilitation in a certain field or business or niche?
Yeah, me.
Okay, we have two. So Simone and I think it's Pia, right? Okay, Simone, you start and then Pia. So then.
I have a big passion for the subject of inclusion, and inclusion for, if you don't know what it is, it's a social subject. It's for people with a handicap. And so I'm right now specializing my service to do graphic recording for these people, to make them understand better complicated presentations. So I will do this special thing.
And I think that's very
passion of mine. So I think it's a big advantage to specialize yourself in a certain sector. If you really love to engage yourself, or I don't know, I do it because I want to make it better. I want to make this this subject bigger in Germany. So it's a big passion of mine. So I think that's why I don't know. I love to do it. It's more
passionate about it.
It's easier to promote myself like this.
And I think it's also very valuable. So I had a thing together with Simone, and we talked about this topic, and we had people there, and she organized it in an area where we had the chance to talk with people, handicapped people, and we also drew it. And it was so interesting to learn how Simone handles it. So how to draw diversity in a way that people are okay with it. So not having this typical handicapped guy with a roll chair in it, which might be not the way people want to be seen. So I think it makes perfectly sense to be in a field and have the right language that is okay for these people and also reflect their needs. So it's powerful. Pretty nice. And for Pia, will you share what you, in which area you are working or your favorite?
Yeah. Okay, first of all, I think it depends a lot on the market we are located and where we practice this, because some markets are not really developed, you know, to have the chance to specialize in something. Let's say, I mean, by my experience in UK, there's so much happening, there's so much business, there are so many graphic recorders that I think that there's the place where you can specialize. in other places where graphic recording is more new, not so much. Me personally, I worked pretty much internationally, and I worked pretty much in non-formal education, also in programs of Erasmus Plus and European Commission. And yeah, this is the field I love. If I really had the reflection about you know, the looks of my visuals, because what I work for this kind of events is really different of what I work for other kind of events for my corporate clients. It's amazing. I feel so free during these events. My visual metaphors are sparkling. It's really alive there. And also my inspiration, the graphic recorder I love most. I met her working for this field, and yeah, there is my inspiration. That's my passion, and I'm dedicated to this. I'm also a lifelong learner, and I have a respect for this approach, and this is the field. But again, to sum up, I think even if we would want to specialize in something, if you don't have the market, or if you don't go internationally to get enough events on that topic, it's a bit challenging.
Yeah, of course, also so that's my experience, you open up new fields. When you're specialized, you can attract people that never thought about this visual thing before, because there was no one speaking the same language. So it's really,
Right.
yeah, good. And it was thanks for sharing. And you brought up the topic metaphors. We had in the last online meeting, we had metaphors.
I was with you guys last time, and actually you gave me, I mean, after our meeting, I had an idea for my first blog, because I'm I remade my site, and I have to start posting on my blog, and you gave me an idea for an article that I will also share it on the graphic facilitation page.
Yeah. I think we have to do it another time, so because then it becomes really interesting to see all the specialized people we have here, and to learn and to see their insights also from metaphors and from all these different areas. So very very nice. And so I thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. And so just if anything comes up, just feel free. We are a bit over time. I just have to read the message from Matthew and hand over to Dorota because it's a longer text. Okay.
So what I encourage you to do is to go to the article that I posted on our Facebook group. A link to a blog written by American lettering artist, and she is so good when she writes about pricing, about business. It's really something that can be a top article about that subject. So I really recommend it.
Yeah.
So
I read it from Matthew, and Matthew really encouraged all of you, please go to this visual practitioners survey, which the group shared. I think it's very important, and it helps also us to get a feeling how we handle it, and I think it will be very interesting. The more will join, the better the results are, and it's helpful for everyone. So please click on the link, do the survey. It's 5 minutes, and according to Matthew, just 9 simple questions. So and then I think it will be very, very interesting to see the results. Okay, great. Then
good night, Dan.
All the best to you, and it was so great to have you and to talk to you and to see you. And it's so we see new faces every time, and faces we have seen in other meetings. So always fun, and looking forward to next time.
Thanks to you for
have
hosting,
fun and see you soon. And if someone made a graphic recording, just share it with Dorota, because she's doing many things in the social media, and or you can also share it directly here in the group. It would be very interesting.
Yeah, share it in the group, and then we will all see it. And you know, it's a precious thing to have your recordings on the group.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. See you next time, guys. Thank you for sharing, and we will come back to you with new subjects very soon.
Thank you.
Bye. All the best to
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you.